I felt like our group did some uncharacteristic things with the ball in our hands, and it led to easy buckets.
Kind of just described all this, but the turnovers, only 15 assists. What kind of led to the disorganization that you saw on the offensive end tonight?
Well, all of our point guards are injured. I think that's the first thing. And again, it's one of those things. Dallas turned up the pressure. I mean, defensively, they made it a little bit more difficult for us to bring down the ball and initiate offense, and became a little bit more disruptive. And we're working Odyssey into what we do, but still, it's tough because point guards are the ones who get you organized.
The Indiana Fever just hit a breaking point, and reports say Caitlin Clark has had enough. After embarrassing blowout losses and more questionable coaching decisions, word is she's demanding Stephanie White step down. The fan base is split, but the results aren't. Is this finally the end of White's time in Indy, or will the front office keep ignoring the obvious?
Around it at all. You got fans mad that other fans are being critical of the coach. I don't know how you watch this team and not be extremely critical of the coaching. You cannot lose that game last night at home.
The situation in Indiana has officially gone from frustrating to downright embarrassing. And no, this isn't just about one bad night. It's about a pattern that's been staring everyone in the face for months. Blowout losses, zero adjustments, rotations that make no sense, and a coach who seemed allergic to taking accountability. Now, after yet another humiliating collapse, Caitlin Clark is reportedly done keeping quiet. When you're in your second year as a pro, you're not some wide-eyed rookie anymore. You've been through the league once. You know how things work, and you know when something isn't working. And right now, Clark knows exactly what's wrong. It's the person calling the shots from the sideline. Stephanie White can talk all she wants about defensive effort and uncharacteristic mistakes, but those words don't erase the scoreboard or the fact that the Fever are wasting a roster stacked with talent.
You cannot have a 19-0 run put on you in any quarter at home by any team in the league, much less the Dallas Wing. You can't have that run put on you by the New York Liberty at home. All right? That's unacceptable. Much less a trash-ass team like the Dallas Wings that's now got 9 victories, one of them at your expense.
Let's talk about that Dallas Wings game, because it was a masterclass in how not to manage a team. You're at home. The crowd is behind you. You have the talent advantage. And somehow you allow a team with 9 wins to go on a 19-0 run in your own building. That's not just bad. That's coaching malpractice. And yet, when it's over, what does White focus on? Officiating. Turnovers. Anything but the fact that she had no answers when the game was slipping away. Clark has been a competitor her entire life. She's not the type to accept "it just wasn't our night" as an excuse. You don't break scoring records and drag college teams to the Final Four by shrugging off collapses. She knows that in sports, momentum swings happen, but good coaches stop the bleeding before it becomes fatal. Stephanie White? She just lets the wound keep bleeding, then tells everyone afterward that it was uncharacteristic. The fan base is just as split as the locker room is rumored to be. On one side, you've got the defenders who treat criticism of White like blasphemy. On the other, you got the people watching the same games Clark is playing in and wondering why this coach still has a job. How do you sell yourself as a defensive mastermind when you give up 27 points off turnovers and let teams run you out of your own gym? And it's not like this was a one-off. The Fever have lost to the league's bottom feeders repeatedly. Expansion team loss, LA Sparks lost twice. A Connecticut Sun team having an off year, lost to the Washington Mystics. And then the unmotivated, can't-be-bothered blowout against the Mercury. Arguably the most disgraceful performance of the year, until the Dallas game came along to give a competition.
But I think that's even been something like me and Steph have like always talk about when we go and watch film. And even like that New York game where like I played really, really well. I started the fourth quarter off with like 3 turnovers in a row or 2 turnovers in a row. And Steph yanked me and she was like, this is like a learning moment. Do we need that in this moment? Like, no. Right. And then she subbed me back in. There was a play where I kind of got a steal and like we're going in transition and Kelsey Mitchell just like takes off down the middle of the floor. And so there's like 2 people kind of by her. And I literally like go to grab the ball and then I like just dribble out. And I like literally just start smiling so big. And I look at Steph and I like told her after the game.
That better be on film.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't understand how hard it was for me to not throw that. And she's like, oh, I know. Trust me. Everybody was like, we saw you about to throw that. But I think it's just like kind of a learning process.
This clip bothered me because if you watch that play where she didn't pass Kelsey the ball after Coach Stephanie White benched her for having a few turnovers in a row, that would have been a momentum shift in the game. That actually looked like it could have been a wide open pass, and it's something that Caitlin does on the regular. I've definitely been giving the benefit of the doubt this entire season. I just would hate to see some of the things that make Caitlin Caitlin, the things that fans love the most about Caitlin, be coached out of her. Those risky passes, the 10 turnovers, it might just happen sometimes with Caitlin because that's the style and the brand of basketball that Caitlin plays. And to be honest, it's a brand of basketball that we haven't really seen in the women's.
Clark didn't come to the WNBA to be part of a losing culture. She didn't choose to carry a franchise on her back just to watch winnable games get thrown away because of stubborn, outdated coaching philosophies. When you have a player like Chloe BBY hitting everything from deep, you don't bench her because we don't ride the hot hand. That's not strategy, that's ego. That's a coach more concerned with sticking to her way than winning games. White's rotations are baffling. Her timeouts are mistimed, or worse, and used in critical moments. Clock management? Non-existent. And when she finally does get in front of Mike, it's the same tired talking points. Blame the refs, blame turnovers, blame tunnel vision. How about blaming the person with the clipboard? The most insulting part is that this roster is good enough to be well above .500, even without Clark in the lineup. You've got Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull. This isn't a team that should be getting punked by squads with half the talent. And yet, here they are with a home record that's embarrassing for a team with such a strong home court advantage. For Clark, this isn't just about frustration in the moment. It's about her career. She's in year 2, already one of the most valuable players in the league both on and off the court, and she's watching the people in charge squander it. She knows the Fever could be a legitimate contender with the right leadership. Instead, they're stuck in the middle. Too talented to tank, too poorly coached to win big. That's the worst place you can be in professional sports. It's also about standards. Clark came from an Iowa program where the bar was set high every single day. Every game mattered. Every possession mattered. You didn't get to hide behind bad officiating, or it just wasn't our night. You adjusted. You fought. You found a way. That's not happening in Indiana under Stephanie White. And for a player like Clark, that's unacceptable to SO now. According to multiple rumblings, she's taking a stand. Enough is enough. You can only watch your coach waste opportunities and alienate fans for so long before you speak up. The fact that Clark, not exactly known for public drama, is allegedly making it clear she wanted change says everything you need to know about how far this has gone. If you want to understand why Caitlin Clark might be pushing for Stephanie White's resignation, you don't have to dig far. It's in the tape, the stats, and the post-game pressers. The Fever are not losing because they lack talent. They're losing because the person in charge of the game plan either doesn't know one or refuses to adjust it when reality smacks her in the face. Take clock management, for example. Any coach with basic instincts knows when to burn a timeout to halt momentum. The Dallas game was a textbook case for it. Momentum swinging, crowd getting restless, players rattled. That's when you stop the game, reset, and draw up a high percentage play. Instead, White just let Dallas go on that 19-0 run, like she was waiting for divine intervention. No reset, no regroup, nothing. You could see the players looking at each other in disbelief. Then there's a hot hand problem. Basketball 101 says you feed the player who can't miss. Yet White sets them cold because we don't ride the hot hand. That's not a coaching philosophy. That's sabotage. You've got BBY hitting threes like she's shooting in an empty gym, and instead of milking that streak, you pull her out so a cold shooter can brick 3 straight possessions. Fans see it, players see it, and now it's clear Clark sees it. The rotation issues are just as bad. White loves overcomplicating lineups, putting in odd combinations that kill offensive rhythm. Why put players on the floor together who have zero chemistry, especially when the game is on the line? That's not experimenting. That's gambling with wins. It's as if she thinks a basketball game is a preseason scrimmage instead of part of a playoff push. And then there's her favorite crutch, blaming the officiating. Sure, calls have been rough with Fever, but newsflash, every team deals with bad refs. The difference is, good coaches prepare their teams to overcome it. White's post-game habit of harping on foul calls sends a message that it's the ref's fault, not ours. That's poison for a locker room trying to build accountability. And Caitlin Clark didn't get to where she is by pointing fingers. She got there by finding solutions that, let's not forget the season record reality check. Remove the 4 wins against Chicago, and this team is sitting below .500. That's with a roster featuring Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, and solid depth. This is a rebuilding project. It's a playoff-ready team being steered by someone who looks more comfortable in a press conference than in the middle of a fourth-quarter chess match. Clark's frustration also comes from the simple fact that wasted seasons take a toll. She's a competitor with a limited window to win at the highest level. Every year wasted under a coach who can't close games is a year she doesn't get back. She knows that stars in this league don't just need talent. They need structure, leadership, and a system that plays to their strengths. And right now, she's getting none of that. The fan backlash is proof this isn't just media noise. Scroll through Fever threads after loss and you'll find page after page of fans calling for a coaching change. They're tired of hearing about progress when the win column doesn't show it. They're tired of watching winnable games slip away because White refuses to adjust when the other team changes tactics. And they're especially tired of seeing a generational talent like Caitlin Clark stuck in this mess.
Felt like they got robbed. Caitlin Clark booing the timeout call. Everything going Indiana's way at this moment.
Even more alarming is that White seems immune to learning from her mistakes. Every press conference sounds like a copy-paste from the last one. We got away from our off-ball actions. We had tunnel vision. We committed uncharacteristic turnovers. All valid observations. But here's the thing. If the same problems keep happening, they're not uncharacteristic. They're habits. Habits formed under her Watch.in contrast. Look at what a competent coach does in this league. Sandy Brondello in New York adjusts lineups mid-quarter, rides hot hands, and throws in defensive wrinkles that swing momentum. Cheryl Reeve in Minnesota holds players accountable without throwing them under the bus, manages minutes smartly, and prepares for every possible late-game scenario. That's the level Clark deserves. Instead, she's stuck with a coach who treats game management like an optional skill. The bottom line is this. Caitlin Clark is in her prime growth years. These are the seasons where she should be refining her pro game, learning how to win close matchups, and developing chemistry with teammates under a system that maximizes everyone's strengths. Instead, she's watching games get decided by poor substitutions, wasted timeouts, and a stubborn refusal to adapt. It's not personal, it's performance. And the performance just isn't there. You can't keep telling fans, trust the process, when the process looks like a road to mediocrity. Clark knows it. The locker room knows it. And judging by the noise online, the fans definitely know IT at this point. Keeping White in place is starting to look less like loyalty and more like neglect from the front office. And this is where Clark's reported push for change matters. When your franchise player speaks, you listen, not because she's above the team, but because her perspective comes from being in the trenches. She knows the feel of the game. She knows when her teammates are being put in positions to fail. And she knows when a coach is out of answers. This isn't about making Clark a GM or letting her handpick a coach. It's about recognizing that if she's speaking up now, it's because the situation has reached a point where silence isn't an option, that she's invested in this franchise's success, and she's not going to sit quietly while poor leadership wastes another year. If the Fever front office has any sense, they'll see this for what it is, a warning shot. You don't want your star player feeling like her only path to winning is in another uniform. You don't want to create a culture where accountability is optional and mediocrity is tolerated. And you definitely don't want to alienate the fan base that has been showing up in record numbers because of Clark's presence. Stephanie White might be a nice person. She might have relationships in the league. But nice doesn't win games, and relationships don't make up for an inability to close out 4 quarters. The Fever have a decision to make. Stick with the status quo and waste Clark's prime, or bring in a leader who can turn this talent into a title contender. Because right now, the only thing the Fever are leading the league in is frustration. And if Clark's reported demands are any indication, that frustration isn't going to stay behind closed doors much longer. Caitlin Clark has made it clear, enough is enough. The question now is whether the Fever's front office has the courage to act. Will they keep protecting a coach who can't deliver? Or will they finally give Clark the leadership she needs? Drop your take in the comments.